Hello and welcome to the Old Young Scrum with me, Samuel Baines, and my co-host, the wonderful, the outstanding, the ex-professional rugby player, Simon Fole. How are you, Simon?
Good evening, Sam. I'm very well, thank you. All the better for seeing you on this fine Thursday evening.
That's because I'm beautiful. Uh,
Who's told you that? Your mum?
uh, yeah. Uh,
That's all that matters. Don't worry about it.
Self-confidence means a lot.
Get you everywhere.
Yeah, I need a bit of self-confidence after watching that game the other day. What was Lions v South Africa A?
Yeah. Interesting one. I thought. The whole Lions thing at the moment is in pretty much in turmoil, isn't it? And I don't think that game there would have done us any favours at all. You know, talk about learning curves and not peaking on a Wednesday, but that would have sent a shockwave to the coaching staff for sure. Do you agree?
If I was the coaching at the line, if I was coaching at the Lions at the moment, that's lighting a fire under my backside. That game.
Yeah. If that's their A squad, I don't buy it for 1 minute that Etzebeth and Co, Detoy and those boys are not going to be in the starting Lions test. But even so, they bullied us, didn't they? We were second best, even with the Toji. We couldn't compete, which in South Africa is the key. I'm sorry, if you can't compete at the breakdown in the line out in the scrum, you're going to be you're on the back foot. So yeah, it wasn't a magnificent game to watch, and even more disappointing if you, as you say, if you're British.
I'm very upset. Anyone who's met me knows that I'm tall and blonde. I might change my last name to Depries and maybe move to South Africa. Uh,
Wonderful country. Yeah, you'd fit in quite well. You've got a big square jaw and a good appetite. Yeah, you like a bit of biltong and
love a
like a
bit.
steak. So yeah, mate, you'd fit in rather well. You've got to, you need a little bit of arrogance as well to be a proper South African. I'm
Can
going to
I
offend
find out?
every South African ever now, but
I started off the podcast by saying that I'm beautiful. The arrogance is already there.
it's already there. You're right. You're right.
I'm literally a South African in disguise. Uh,
Yeah, they're a proud nation, and that you could see on their face what it meant to them to beat the Lions in the midweek.
yeah,
It sends a marker down. So
yeah. They've got a lot to play for at the moment. That country's obviously in turmoil. As we speak, what's tragic? There's been deaths and stuff. But they're playing for a lot. They're playing for that Springboks jersey every time. If you look at the likes of the Beast who used to play there, you look at the likes of Sia Khaleesi, who I'm sure is in that camp, even though I'm pretty sure he tested positive only a couple of weeks ago. He's probably going mental at that, getting them ready. Uh, Cheslin Kobe, even Efif, uh, Peter Stephen Detroit, one of my favourite players, someone I idolise as a back rower. They're out there, they're putting in that hard work, and they're so proud. That isn't really their B team. That's a very good South African side, uh, and that was the Lions B team. I can't wait for the real clash.
you say it was a B team. You've got a sprinkling of people that I feel will start. I don't think he's too far away with Talupe at 8. Um, I think Henderson will start in the row. I think Atoji will play. Uh, where else? Who's going to start? Maybe Jamie George or maybe Cowan Dickey. I'm not sure, but you've got sprinklings of all the way through that team of players that will start in a week or so's time. So it would have been a yeah. They'll reflect on it. They'll look at it. They'll study the video. They'll understand what makes an African team tick. And one of the biggest things is Faf de Klerk. He's round that fringe. He's egging them on, cheering them on, and every time there was even at the kickoff, and even saw Etzebeth flattened. I think it was Farrell, and you thought, oh hello, we're in for We're in for a
Yeah,
torrid day.
yeah, right at the kickoff, Etzbeth came over, smashed Daly,
Yeah,
uh,
that's right, Daly. Yeah.
showed him who was boss. Conor Murray was the captain for that game. How important is captaincy when you're playing the big guys who will bully you? Does it add a different layer to captaincy?
You've got to have a cool head as captain, and you've got to be. That's why I always like Jono as captain. You know, cool as you like, but could meet fire with anybody. And I think that you really need that as a leader. I think Alan Wynne-Jones obviously not in the tour at the moment, but destined to be back, which I find amazing after he dislocated his shoulder. But they'll know better than me. It's still a few weeks away from getting to the business end of it. So
You know he's on the bench this weekend.
who
Elwyn Jones.
he is, yeah. I mean that's remarkable.
Yeah.
Hobbling off a couple of weeks ago to being back and getting on the bench is fantastic for medical staff. I hope he's fit and ready. Only he'll know that. But yeah, I'm worried, Sam. I'm a little bit concerned that we couldn't deal with the firepower, and that was crikey. If we haven't done our homework now, then God forbid, unless we've done we've played into their hands and picked a smaller side up front, see where we can compete, and come the test, they'll put all the big guys in. But you look at England against them in the World Cup, same story. Got beat up, couldn't get any ball, couldn't get a foothold. So yeah, be interesting, eh? It might be what the tour needed because it was going stale with what happened with the game before, and it was a farce, wasn't it, the weekend before or in the week with not knowing who was playing, who wasn't playing, who tested positive, who hadn't, and wrong players in wrong shirts. It was a bit of a mess.
If that is a South African B team, well, an A team or whatever you want to call it, and that is stopping the tour from going stale, how excited are you for that real clash when that bok sees that lion and that lion starts to hunt and that bok starts to run and kick and they go at it in the middle of, I believe, are they playing in Johannesburg?
Yeah, I think Joburg's the first one.
So the big clash in Joburg, how it's going to be like two titans, two heavyweights slugging it out. Are you
Do you,
excited for it?
do you know what it is? And the one thing I feel desperately sorry for all of them, and especially the young lads, is no crowd. Um, the Lions, it's all about being in a foreign country um, and taking. There's always a tremendous following for Lions, and the crowd make as much noise as the home fans, and the players need that. They need to feed off that, and they're not going to get that. They're going to get the odd, few people outside the hotel clapping and cheering, but it's not the same. For me, I don't think I'd have gone ahead with it. I think it should have been handled better. South Africa has been rife with COVID, and they introduced lockdown, they introduced alcohol ban enough. I mean, it was pretty draconian, the measures they had to take to try and curb it. Don't think it's worked particularly well. And, to have the magnitude of what it is, a Lions tour, for me, it's taken a massive shine and a gloss off it. And, you know, people like Reece Summit and those young boys that it's their first ever one, I hope they get another opportunity in front of in a New Zealand and Australia with a packed, venue and all the crowd and all the supporters there, and what a Lions tour should be all about.
We talk about the young lads. I was at the game the other day. Marcus Smith gets dragged off the pitch. He's now a Lion. That man's last Saturday's semi-final,
Yeah,
coming back on the biggest comeback in a semi-final history. Uh, won the final as an underdog. Made his England debut.
yeah.
Got called off of the pitch on his second England game to be told that he was going to be a Lion. And this Saturday he's playing for his first cap for the Lions. Like, now that's a set of Saturdays to rival any, isn't it?
I'm a. I feel, and I'm sure you do as well. We've watched that young man grow and grow and get better and better as at the arse end of the season. He just got better and better. He got his England call up, and fair play to him. He's done a fantastic job there, mate. The stage is set for him. I'm good on him. I hope he's competing for a test spot. Why not? That's his goal. That's his ambition in life, is to be the best he can. And so far, he hasn't done much wrong to prove anybody anything different. And that say he's too young, or he's not big enough, or he's not this, or he's not that. I think he's got it all, and I think with the right people around him, boy's going to shine. He's going to be good. He's the future for England for definite.
If we look at this from more than just rugby perspective, is he the next rugby superstar? Jonah was the last big rugby superstar. Possibly you could debate Sonny Bill because of his crossovers. Is this young man from Brighton rugby's next big superstar?
He is just a kid. He's definitely got the talent. He's quite easy on the eye, if I do say so myself. As a man, he's a handsome fella, and he has got that X factor, which potentially sponsors will pick up on. You talk about the Dan Carters of this world, and people like that are a brand in themselves. I see no reason why, Marcus Smith, the brand, can't take off. He's everything that you'd want in a up and coming star. He's eloquent. He's well read, and he's dedicated. So yeah, I wish him all the hope it goes all his way, and we can say, well, we saw him first. You talked about him a long time ago, how good he was, and that he deserved his place in an England setup. He didn't get it, and now look at him. Like you say, he's about to put a red Lion shirt on this Saturday.
So, Marcus Smith, if you're listening, just know that I've backed you since the beginning. So, it'd be nice if you'd come on.
I'm sure he will. I'm sure we'll get James Percival on him and make him do one.
Yeah, we'll send Perce after you to make sure that you get on.
Use a couple. Hand grenade in.
The social hand grenade.
That's it. Yeah, we'll send him in.
We need to have him back. He was amazing. If I move on to our next point.
Yeah.
Our next point. It's still about South Africa. Do they have the best forwards in the world?
You've got to say, yeah. They've got. Mate, I was lucky enough to go there in 2006. It was Jason Leonard's 40th birthday, believe it or not. He was on the tour and played out there. And I remember going, there was myself, John Phillips. We had some big lads, some big lumps. Tony Copsey was there. We had Jason Leonard. And I remember going to the first game against South African vets. And we were warming up, and I looked over and I thought, what the hell? It was like landed that they were huge. There was a guy I played against in the second row who he shot his own daughter. I mean, it's a tragic story. He thought there was a burglar at the night, someone was nicking the car, so he shot from the door and killed his own daughter. Now, that man obviously got some anger issues, and yeah, he played second row against me, and Jesus, it was a torrid afternoon. But they're a big race of people. We've had experience of them over here. Gary Pager, the one that I knew very well, very quiet, very unassuming. But one day when you're a bit older, I'll show you his highlights reel of his video nasties that he used to get up to at the Saints. I mean, some of them are just horrific. But as a scrummager, no one could compete with him, and he hated people that wouldn't compete against him, that would cheat. He hated the Leicester front row, wouldn't go on tour with them because they cheated against him, wouldn't scrummage, they'd go down and claim foul play and all sorts, when all he wanted to do was scrummage. So, as a nation, they're big, and that's their forte is big men that can do a job. The guy last night, Mostard, he was the the backbone of that Gloucester side when they went so well. They really, really missed him. Um, he had a good game. Etzebeth is, he's just a thug. I'm sorry, he's a thug, but obviously a legal thug these days. Um, and they're just huge. So unless you're going to compete, and the only way you do that is keep them moving around and don't give them a target, keep them going backwards rather than forwards. But it's so difficult to do that when they get a sniff and woof, they're on you.
Etzbeth is like a new Backies, isn't he? He's like a new Bofa.
Bacchus both. I mean, what an animal of a man. Yeah, he'd beat you before you got on the field. I wouldn't want to play against him just because I thought you knew you were going to get a clout at some point, or you're going to get a slight boot, or the man knew no fear, did he?
Legend has it the man fights lions. Let's move away from the big scary South Africans.
And probably wins.
The man definitely wins.
Yeah.
Let's look at the Prem. Let's go from this intense South African big chaps to rest weeks. Now that we've got 13 teams in the Prem, we now get rest weeks. I'm a bit upset about that. Doesn't mean there's a game of rugby on for me to watch of my local club every weekend. But that's going to be very good for player welfare, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think coming off the back of what we have in COVID times and how they've crammed a lot into a short space of time, I think the players will, and the club to a certain extent, give the guys need time to get away from rugby altogether. And I think Boyd he's au fait with that. A lot of them have got kids and families and stuff. And rugby's all consuming, and it can take over your life if you're not careful. And I don't think there's anything better than saying to the guys, right, you're adults, you're professionals, see you next week. Go and have a week off. They can earn, I'm sure they've got enough in the pay packet to jet off to somewhere nice and warm and spend some time with the family, relax, chill, and, take their mind off it. And come back with a fire in the belly, rather than the churn that it has been. I know you talk to some of the lads; they were so looking forward to the end of the season. And I spoke to Woody. He came up the yard the other day, and I'm like, "Mate, how's your break?" Because I haven't really had one. He said, "I've had an elbow operation. As soon as we finished, I've only just really recovered from that, and we're back in next week." So you think, I'd still swap his job for mine. However, he's had 5 weeks off. I've managed to get a week and probably works every day. But that's the reality of it. But no, I don't think it's a bad thing. Let's have a look. It doesn't hurt to keep trying things as clubs and see what works. Like you say, player welfare should be massive.
Well, next year it'll be going to 14 anyway, so they'll be eradicated these weeks off. But I reckon it'll be good for player welfare. Yeah, look at the likes of Woody. Man, literally could be shot in the foot and he'd carry on playing.
And you look at Wyn Jones. It was only 2 weeks ago he's dislocated his shoulder, and he's on the bench this Saturday. So that extra week for physical and mental well-being could be huge, and it could see, you might see a difference of a team that's come off a rest week, really, setting things alight. We'll see. It's interesting.
Do you think that rest week will give the rested team an advantage over the team that's played the week before, or do you reckon the team that's played the week before will have an advantage?
No, I think the team that's rested. I think when you get to the level intensity of training that they go through, and they don't, the moves and the set plays they don't forget, and I just think that it'll do them. The team that's had the rest, I feel, the stats might prove me wrong, but they'll probably come out on top. It'd be interesting to see what comes of it.
Okay. I want to move to looking at the home of the Eagle. Kyle, the man with the amazing mullet, cast player. Anyone who hasn't listened to that episode, I advise you go and watch the video version for the sheer fact of how hilarious it is.
Yeah.
It's 10 times better on video, I promise. The home of the Eagle, the USA. We missed a podcast last week. So we didn't get to talk about, but what did you make of that England USA game?
Yeah, again, I think we built it up and thought this was going to be easy. We were going to smash them and do this and do that, and it was a good test for us. They came out, they were physical, they got about us, and yeah, I don't think it was ever in doubt the result. But fair play to them. They would have been. The Eagles have come a long way since the World Cup even. Um, so yeah, a decent enough game and enough to get 10,000 people quite happy. I guess you went. I saw you sent me a few WhatsApps. Were you there?
I did. Went with the scrum half.
Oh, okay. And how did you find it? Was it exciting game?
It was physical. That you could hear the hits. Uh, the Americans came for a game. The Americans wanted to play quick play rugby. They wanted to run the ball, unlike England, who seem to want to play off the kicking game like normal.
Yeah.
America were fun to watch. America Italy is the game to make.
Yeah, and again, it's good for emerging nations to, Italy need a shot in the arm. They need a pick me up. They've been on the wrong end of a few Six Nations games now, and they don't seem to be getting better. So, we talked about a second tier of the competition, or a little playoff to get into the Six Nations. Maybe that's the way forward. Um, but yeah, it won't be long. USA, we've spoken to those guys who are. If the public get behind it in the USA, you watch that game grow and grow and get bigger and bigger, and the players will get better and better. So yeah, it won't be long.
Talking about, I'm not going to call it second league rugby. That sounds mean. No, USA Rugby is a couple steps behind Prem Rugby. I
Yeah,
think that's
it's
okay to say.
yeah. I think the top American team would probably compete somewhere in the championship.
Yeah,
Um, I don't think I'm being unfair to say that. The world's a small place. Well, it hasn't been lately, but when it does, why not? If that's the way that teams get better when the better teams you play, the better you become.
of course. And that league this year has been full of upsets, full of great games. It's looking good. Uh, have you heard about the new European Super Rugby Cup?
I haven't. I must admit, I've been very anti. I've not watched any news. I've not read anything on rugby. I've really been, yeah, I've been tremendously busy at work. So no, what on earth's going on there? And talk to
So,
me.
so let me introduce to you something known as the European Super Rugby Cup. Everybody go look it up. You'll love it. I actually need to look it up myself as well. But it is a league based in Europe, as the name suggests, involving a Georgian team, an Israeli team. I know Israel isn't in Europe, but apparently it is. And also other teams from other emerging countries, such as, no, that's just giving me the football. I'll have that up. As well as teams from Romania, I believe, and other more, I guess, not Slavic countries. Yeah, Slavic countries more. I think there's a Russian team. I've decided I'm supporting the Georgian Black Lions. How good does that sound?
They sound fearful.
They do. I just can't read anything that they post because I don't speak Georgian. Uh, but yeah, so there's this new cup that's allowing for second-rate rugby teams to get involved. It's professional. It'll be good. Do you agree? Do you think that's a good
Yeah,
idea?
no, I'm all for competition amongst different nations, and it's all part of spreading the rugby gospel. We live and breathe it and love it. The more people that get to touch and feel it, will kind of understand where we're coming from. I think the biggest thing for me over the last couple of weeks has been the football. Yeah, we didn't make it, and yeah, three guys stood up, take a penalty and missed, and unfortunately, the worst of English has come out. Um, if a Toji gets sent off in a game and the Lions lose a series, I don't think he's going to get a load of racist abuse from fans of rugby to say that he's cost us a World Cup or a Lions tour. I mean, it's just horrific for me, and that's why we love rugby so much. It's not it's not what we're all about. What we've witnessed over the last week, which is such a shame.
Rugby is a game for all, and talking about being a game for all, Fijian team is playing the All Blacks. New Zealand has been divided by race in the past, such as Maoris and white people being divided. South Africa has been divided by race strongly, well knownly for apartheid. Same with Australia, and Australia is of course still developing largely, and so are the other nations that I've just mentioned. And
Yeah.
sport brings us together in such a way through rugby. And the All Blacks are playing Fiji. Our good friend Sam Matavesi, the man, the myth, the living saint,
Yeah.
literally in both ways, uh, is playing. We got any good luck messages for Sam before we unbind from this scrum?
No, just as I say, what a tremendous fella. Very humble. Got the smile as big as Northampton, and wish him all the best. And yeah, he's going to have his work cut out for sure. But that's what Fijian rugby's all about: expressing yourself and playing with a smile. And no doubt he'll have a couple of carvers after the game, and that's when it all goes wonky.
So Sam, if you're listening to this, because I know that your brother Josh does follow us on social media, and I know that you're all up for coming on an episode. You know, uh, bring us back one of your jerseys. We'll hang it up in here. You know,
Shameful, Sam. Shameful.
terrible. Take every opportunity I get. Anyway, we need to unbind from this scrum because it's getting close to my bedtime.
It is
You know,
getting late.
you talk about being around 2006. I wasn't born then.
Oh,
Uh,
mate, come on, stop putting me under the bus.
so I have got to unbind from this scrum because I need to go train and then go to bed. Uh, have a wonderful day, Simon, and everyone. I hope you've enjoyed this episode.
I'm going to have a wonderful day. I'm off to Silverstone tomorrow on a bit of a corporate day out. So tell your dad I'll have a few beers and yeah, and look forward to our first game, September the 3rd, I feel. Is that our first home
Yeah,
soiree?
I believe September 18th, I believe.
Oh, 18th. Okay. So we'll look forward to that date. But yeah,
Awesome.
unbind. Have a good evening and